So I think my biggest question to you is that I just can't figure out how will this happen? How will the media be taken down? I mean, will CNN also be taken over by? Will they be taken over by new bosses and just white hats, or will
The,
they disappear
there's so
completely?
many ways he can do it because they're breaking every single rule of their, of their business. You could take their licenses away. I would imagine Trump is not the sort of person that gets mad; he gets even. So I would imagine arresting the owners and the editors and the journalists that have just gone way outside the bounds of normality. Um, and the way he's doing it at the moment is arresting the small ones first because they tend to squeal and tell the stories on the big bosses because that's
Absolutely.
that's that's how they do business and that's how he's operated. That he goes for strategic people that he knows talk a lot.
Right.
Um, and one thing that if you're a journalist and your editor has told you to do something and you get caught, the first thing you say is he told me, and then the editor's going to go, well, the owner told me to do this. So the process is very, very simple. And we've already seen that with Ghislaine Maxwell and the other Jeffrey Epstein, where they've basically told stories on every single person.
Right.
So it makes
And
Trump's job easy. You pick the right people first, they do all the work for you.
no, it's definitely it's very strategic. I mean, I don't put it past Trump. Everything he's doing is so meticulously strategic. I mean, I think the public will suddenly realize also. They're realizing now, aren't they?
Yep.
Um, they're moving to more conservative platforms, and I've had to recently move to Parler as well, which is somehow also the number one downloaded app right now. And I
Yep.
think one thing you'll notice, and I think all the sheeple should be shown, is the difference in behavior with the Democrat protesters and the Trump protesters. Now the Trump protesters, the Trump supporters, are expressing civic disobedience, I guess, which is allowed though by the Constitution. Although they don't want to tell you that they're doing it in the form of peaceful resistance, right? They're
Yep.
not going crazy, killing and looting and rioting like Antifa and BLM.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I think what Biden is doing with the election fraud is a type of coup d'état, isn't it? Like it's
It
just
is. That's exactly what it is.
yeah.
That's exactly what
But
it is.
I think David Wolf was on your I had David Wolf say that he was an empty, hollow shell, corrupt to the core, controlled by demonic entities. And if he comes in, he's he's going to increase tax to some states to up to 61%. And people think that this is great because it means rich people are going to be taxed, but they don't get that such a high tax is not for billionaire corporate people. This is also for the middle to small businesses, and it trickles down to the ordinary working man. So it's just common sense. Already the taxes, I mean the high taxes now have seen businesses moving to tax haven states like Texas. But big pharma and agrochemical industries have the whole government in their hands. They have the entire lobby. Most government in the world are backed up or propped up in the industry that poison people on this planet. And the arrogance of the establishment to assume that a moral high ground about climate change and renewable energy is beyond despicable. Like it's crazy. But Biden is their puppet. So what can we do? He's going to bring back the Paris Accord. He says he's going to get rid of the oil industry. I think he said that in one of the debates.
He's not
You know,
getting in.
right? But people don't realize that this is what they voted for. The people that did, right? They don't realize that the
They didn't
policy.
vote for him. They just voted against Trump because they didn't like Trump. They'd rather have a clone with really crap batteries than Trump. They don't care. I've had people say they'd rather vote for a paedophile than Trump. This is how brainwashed they are.
So what is going to happen with these people? They're deranged to a point where there's no saving them.
Hopefully, they'll get a vaccine.
For TDS, that's exactly what we need. We need a vaccine for TDS. Right. I mean,
Exactly.
we'll all help fund that one.
Because then it's only 20% of America, and then you've got Bill Gates' dream: get rid of all the Democrats. I mean, all the dead wood with a
Exactly.
vaccine.
No, right. I mean,
Wouldn't that be
that,
wonderful?
That would be amazing if we had, because I was telling my followers, why don't we just move to a country where, we can just have people who have common sense rather than all this pseudo intellectualism. We can have Trump be our president for as long as he wants. We'll all just be happy.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I've had to learn on this journey, that Trump is he's just somebody that God is using. It's not between Trump and Biden. This is a war between God and Satan. This is the Great Awakening. This is Revelation. This is atonement. This is the time for the reset, and this is the war between good and evil. And Trump has been trusted by God to do a job, and God is guiding him. And Satan is guiding Biden and Harris, and that's not what we want. But the war is on between good and evil right now, very, very clearly. And it's to me, and I am just Charlie, it's fairly obvious who's good and who's evil. And the reason I know is because I've been involved with some naughty boys in my life, so I know what naughty looks like. But I haven't got involved in evil. I've got involved in naughty. I've seen evil, but I haven't got involved in it. But I know what it looks like. So you just ask me and I'll tell you what, because you don't look like you've seen even naughty.
I don't know, because Trump, the naughtiest I can think of is what Trump is accused of usually, for his remarks against women and just, some of the crass things he says on national television. But other than that, I do think he's just guilty of being a man. But then that's
really we're all guilty of saying things that we would say in a locker room. Sometimes after a couple of drinks they come out. They shouldn't come out, but sometimes you can use a word or a saying just to get a reaction. I've done it many, many times in my life because I just want to get somebody's attention. So you chuck in a word. It's like when I started off my walks, when I said, remember, Jesus loves you, but everyone else thinks you're a it was done to create a reaction right at the start. And it did create a reaction. And that's what I wanted to do. That was the start of my journey.
Right.
Just to create a reaction, because my whole journey has been, I'm not going to tell you everything that's going on, but I'm going to put out my view, and I want you to go and do your own research and find out what the truth is. Don't take my word for it. Go and find out for yourself. And then once you start looking, you'll go, do you know what? You've got a point. It is my interpretation. Your interpretation to what I see may be very different. But go and have a look and see what you think.
Right. It's just getting people to critically think for themselves, which is what we're seeing is completely void in our generation and everywhere right now. Everyone seems to be under a spell of the media.
Yeah.
And the fact that people even believe that Joe Biden is president-elect goes to show that, people really have no idea how government works, how the media can't call the president. Who's going to go and research this stuff?
Yeah. They thought they could. CNN thought if they said it, everybody would go, yeah, of course, you're right, CNN. And then you look at the idiots out there like Boris Johnson, idiot, Angela Merkel, idiot, Netanyahu, idiot, who believe the mainstream media rather than Congress. Really? You really think you're up for that job? You come out of university and you think you know.
Exactly. It's just civics class, isn't it? It's just, you don't even need to know. But the thing is, I was thinking when Netanyahu and everyone was congratulating them, is it possible that this is also optics of some sort? Or is it definitely, because I saw Trump unfollow, I think, Netanyahu. I'm not sure. I've heard that.
Yeah, because all this is optics. It's a game. The battle was won a long time ago. This is pantomime, but it gives us something to talk about and have a bit of fun and take the piss out of them right now. And I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying telling people what's going on. I'm totally aware that Donald Trump is 100% in control of this. He's won it clean and simple. And this is just optics, but I'm enjoying it.
So it really is a movie. We don't even know what's real and what's not, and what's been, already what's already happened. But you know, economically, I think I still get a lot of followers who talk about how they have family members who voted for Biden and they don't even realize that, you know, the right now I think the House, the representative, and the Senate, we have more of a majority on the Republican side, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people seem to, even if on the off chance if Joe Biden were to be president, they think that we'd still be protected from higher taxes. Is that possible? Would that be possible? I'm just saying, on the off chance, if Joe Biden was to be president, would we still be protected by the Senate and, you know, from higher taxes, from all these policies that Joe wants to implement?
The chances of that happening are less than zero.
Right. No, of course. But people seem to use that argument a lot, that even if Joe were to be president, you know, the Democrats, I've seen that they always push policies that all require taxpayers' money. And especially AOC, she thinks money falls from the sky with her Green Deal. She just, and Kamala, she has a history of people. I have so many friends who are, and just family members, people that I know who are supporting this victory of Kamala Harris being the first vice president as a woman. But, you know, people don't realize that she has a history of putting trans women in male prisons, resulting in murder. She literally denied trans inmates gender affirming surgeries. She made so many, I think about 1,500 marijuana arrests. And she even, I think I had read somewhere that she withheld evidence to free a man from on death row. Yeah, you know, half of America, they want to vote for Biden, the most corrupt swamp creature in the history of Washington, D.C., who has a depraved, crack addicted son.
This is just pantomime.
Right. Okay.
They're trying to prove to the world that you could put a corrupt, evil paedophile up and they would make out he could still beat Trump. That's what they've done it for. And they thought by doing what they did, they proved to the world that even a paedophile that was totally corrupt, with the son that owns the biggest porn website in the world, Pornhub, even he could beat Trump. And of course, he can't. They lost by 80% to 20%, which still shows that you've got 20% of America is politicians in Hollywood and people that are just completely in a bubble, don't know what's going on. But 80% of America is wide awake to the truth. Right. If the truth is allowed out, well, Donald Trump is a businessman and he's not going to let these imbeciles steal with 20% of the elite and the paedophiles and all the rest of the horrible people. He's not going to let them take the election. No chance. This was won a long time ago. This is just the pantomime, just for those people to see. And also so they have a nice, slow, painful death, along with mainstream media.
So will there be a civil war at the end of it? Will people be...
Well, hopefully there'll be a war between Democrats and Democrats for the people who planned it and the people who didn't know what was going on. But if you look at what's happening right now, I've looked at America from an outside point of view. And when the Democrats don't get their own way, Antifa and Black Lives Matter start a riot. I have not seen that with Trump supporters. I've seen people say, we just want the truth. Because they know the truth will always win and God is on their side. So they don't have any worries.
Exactly. Trump supporters are just so much more civilized. They go to riot and loot and we go to court. So there's a massive difference and hopefully people will see that difference. And